Hello again! Welcome back to learning about ancient Egypt. In my last video, I asked you to think about a couple of questions. One, why ancient Egyptians' civilizations needed to invent writing. And the second question was, why did the ancient Egyptians worship cats? There are several different reasons why ancient civilizations needed to invent writing. But the most important one is to keep track of who owns what and how much of it they own. This is similar to the reason why ancient Egyptians needed geometry as well. Geometry was used for measuring land, and anybody could walk across a field and keep track of how many steps it took them to cross it and measure it that way. But how do you measure a field when the field is covered by floodwaters? They would need the rules of geometry in order to help them keep track of the size of land property when the floodwaters came to cover things up. The kings, landowners, farmers, and merchants of ancient Egypt needed writing in order to keep track of the food, supplies, and other goods that they made, grew, and sold. They also needed it in order to send messages over long distances. A little bit of background first. The ancient Egyptians referred to their country as Kemet, which meant the Black Land. This was a reference to the rich, moist, fertile soil around the Nile River that was kept that way by the regular flooding of the Nile. They were very fond of the Black Land because it was a place where they could grow the crops that kept them all well fed and quite wealthy. Then there was the other part of their country, Deshret, the Red Land. This is how they referred to the desert, a place of danger, chaos, and many, many risks. These two ideas were important to the ancient Egyptians, the stark contrast between order, safety, and chaos and disaster. Kemet represented order and safety. The desert, Deshret, represented chaos. And you'll see as we continue to learn about ancient Egyptians' beliefs that these ideas come up over and over again. One of the most important gods the ancient Egyptians believed in was Ra, the god of the sun. He was obviously important because, of course, you can't grow crops without sun. Like so many ancient people, the Egyptians watched the sun cross the sky every day and descend into darkness at night time. Darkness was another version of chaos that the ancient Egyptians feared. The ancient Egyptians believed that their beloved sun god had to travel through a dark and dangerous place every night in order to emerge successfully at dawn every morning. This dangerous place, the Duat, their underworld, which we'll talk about more in future episodes, featured among many other dangers a giant snake called Apep or Apophis. One of the most popular stories ancient Egyptians tell about their god Ra is of how he is defended from the giant snake Apophis by the faithful cat of Ra, also sometimes known as the goddess Bastet. She is Ra's daughter and is often his hand of vengeance whenever anyone is doing wrong against him. It's also likely that the people of ancient Egypt had a friendly relationship with cats because of the fact that cats could defend their grain storage from predation by rats and mice, which would have been highly important, not only because the ancient Egyptians needed that grain for their food to eat, but also because, for much of ancient Egypt, grain was literally used as money. It would be absolutely essential to have creatures around who could defend your money against predators who would eat it. In the next video, I'll tell you about some of the first kings of ancient Egypt and the amazing things that they built. As is my habit, I want to leave you with a question to consider. If you wanted to be king, how would you convince other people to let you rule over them? Do please give it some thought. And if you have any other questions, or maybe your friends have questions that they'd like you to ask, put them in the comments below if you'd like to see me address these questions in future episodes. I'll see you in the future. No. The past. In the next video, I'm gonna laugh. I'm not. The kings, landowners, farmers, and merchants of ancient